First off, Coach Spice, I appreciate you taking out the time to talk to me and divulge some of the information. I'm very thankful for your time. But first off, Coach, just tell me a little bit about yourself, man, and where you're from, a little bit about your background, high school, college, and professional.
Okay, Paul Spicer, from Indianapolis, Indiana. One of five kids, single parent household. Mom raised me. She was dad and mom. Grew up inner city. Under government assistance, housing as well as welfare. But as a black family, as we all do, we looked out for each other. We tried to take care of each other the best we could. Um, but started playing football late. Didn't really play little league, Pop Warner, and all that, because back then you had to pay for it, and mom and dad had the money for that. So, started in middle school. Only played 2 games in middle school. Actually, 3 if you count the jamboree.
How about
but,
that?
the season we had to forfeit the season. Didn't have enough players. A lot of guys quit or went to another sport. So that was like my first real taste of organized football.
Sure.
In high school, I didn't play till I was a sophomore due to the accident I had when I was in middle school. And I started out as a sophomore at Northwest High School in Indianapolis, Indiana. Coach Cliff Sedam, they got so he's passed on. And the way I started, he saw me walking down the hall in by the cafeteria and said, "Hey man, come here, let me talk to you." And said, "You like football?" I said, "Yeah, I like football." He said, "You want to play football?" "Yeah, I want to play football." He said, "Well, you come to our all-season conditioning." I said, "Okay." Well, first of all, I didn't know what all-season conditioning was, but I found out what that was real fast. So,
Absolutely, ain't no doubt, ain't no doubt.
I went and, but I was never afraid of work. Like I said, my first job at the age of 15, I would go out and catch a bus about 4:30 in the morning to a cornfield with a bunch of other teams, and we detasseled corn to about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And
Wow.
that was not easy. You everybody drive past a cornfield, you just see rows and rows of corn for as far as your eye can see. But we
Sure.
was down in the trenches between them corn stalks, walking, grabbing each stalk and pulling that detasseling out the top. It's like there's a kind of like a little root. You had to pull that thing, each one of those things all the way down until you get to the end. And then you turn around and you pick another, you get another, depending on how many people were in your section. And then you kind of shift over, get another row, all the way back down until, like I said, 1 o'clock. Excuse me. But like I said, I got in off-season conditioning with the high school. Went from there to now, the season's around, August hit, the season's here, playing, not understanding that I needed my grades to play, because that wasn't told. I didn't understand that. And end up getting not kicked off the team, but I had to leave the team because I flunked. I was doing bad in my grades, so the coach had to say, "Hey man, you need your grades to play." So that was really the first time I understood that I really needed my education to play the sport. And from that point on, I got my grades back up, but it was almost like it was just good enough to play. I got my grades up good enough to just make sure I'm eligible. But each year, my junior year and my senior year, my grades got gradually better, but still not knowing the true magnitude of having your education and where that leads you. I knew I wanted to go to college. The high school coach, Cliff Sedam, told me I can go to college if I apply myself and play well. I played well. I mean, I was all state football player, all city football player, played an all-star game in Indianapolis, Indiana. Um, did all those things, got all the accolades in football. Even ran track as well. Was a shot putting disc guy, and did pretty well.
Awesome.
But again, like I said, I didn't know about how my level of education. So when it came down to schools, and now the recruiting process is starting to heat up as a senior,
Right.
it didn't have a lot of people coming through. If they did, maybe they saw my transcript and kept it going, kept it moving, because I didn't have the best transcript. I say if you looked at my transcript as a whole, it probably was an average of a C minus, maybe D plus. So with that being said, I had a couple of schools, smaller mid majors, told me, hey man, maybe you can go to prep school. Looked into prep school. I knew right then and there I couldn't do that because my mom had to pay. And again, we didn't have the money to pay. So from there, I ended up at College of DuPage under Coach Mack, Coach Maduga. And what a lot of people don't know, I was there for 2 years. I was All-American outside linebacker. I even got inducted in the Hall of Fame of the NJCAA. But the thing about it is, for those 2 years, I slept on the floor because at the end of the day, I knew I didn't want to go back home because I knew where I come from. If I went back home, there was nothing good for me. Unless I was going to sell drugs or boost cars or whatever, it wasn't for me. So I stayed at school a lot. I visited home. I went back and visited, holidays and stuff. But I got back up to school. Some holidays I didn't go home. I just stayed at school. I had a little girlfriend, I just crashed with her.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Coach. So out of high school, you went to junior college, right?
Yeah.
How did that junior college find you, or did your high school coach hook you up with it? How did you find that junior college?
The junior college found me. They came down and visited with me. The coaches did, the head coach, and I think the offensive line coach did. They came down and visited with me. I think I don't know exactly how they heard of me, how they got my information. If it was my coach, so be it. But it wasn't like my coach told me, hey, I reached out to these guys and they're going to come and see you. They just showed up one day and told me, hey, we're going to take care of you and do all this stuff, which that didn't turn out to be the case because at first I thought I was going to go to a junior college in California, but they ended up shutting their program down. So I ended up at Page in Glen Ellen, Illinois. And that process, man, going to junior college, it was humbling as I was there and going through, and I was just happy to be out of Indianapolis, playing ball. Going to school was still not a top priority, but I knew at that point I had to go to school to continue to play.
So let me ask you this, Coach. Where'd you go after junior college?
After junior college, because I did not graduate from College of DuPage, I settled on Division II school. And in those years, back in 96, you didn't have to have what you have to have now, 70% of your
Sure.
course. Back then, it didn't matter how many credits you had. It was just like, hey, you can leave. And knowing that I already played 2 years of junior college, that I knew I had to go somewhere. And when it was time to the recruiting, I had a better recruiting process coming out of junior college than I did coming out of high school. And, had Division I offers, but when they found out I wasn't gonna graduate and get my degree, they kind of fell off. And some of them asked me to, stay and graduate, but I didn't have any money. I went to a non-scholarship junior college. If I'd have known that there were colleges down south that was giving scholarships out to players, I would have came down south and played. But I didn't know. Again, unaware. I wasn't educated. My mom didn't know anything about it. And so did I. I didn't know anything about it. And I mean, my school, it wasn't like a lot of guys were coming out of my high school making it in sports. So going to college for that matter.
Yeah, no question. So, Coach, and that's kind of why I'm deciding to do the book that I'm doing. It's called The Recruit's Playbook. That's why I'm doing the book that I'm doing, is because similar to your story, is just there's a lot of lack of communication, lack of education out there. Like if I would have knew some things back in high school, like what I know now, I mean, I'd just be in a totally different situation, Now, let me ask this, Coach. Tell me something that you wish you would have known as a teenager, man. It's a lot.
I kind of already answered the question, really. If I'd have known that I needed my grades, the grades were important, for school, because my senior year, I made the dean's list on my senior year, but I did not know that education was really that important. It was not stressed in my household like that. And there's a lot of households out there to this day that's like that, where they might have a son or a daughter that's really good athletically, but unfortunately, because the parent is not educated themselves and know the process, then they leave it up to a friend of the family a buddy here or there, and you can get lost in all the mess that goes on. And I really try to now press upon parents to get educated, to understand what your child needs. I took the SAT one time as a senior. I didn't take the ACT. I didn't do no prep classes. I just showed up, went in there, took that test cold. Didn't do any studying for it, anything. Now,
Absolutely.
I would have been in prep classes. I would have prepared myself. I would have taken both tests multiple times. Whereas, now I tell kids now, you should take those tests at least starting as a junior. You should have both of those tests already taken as a junior. That way, if you don't get the scores, you can take it again as a junior and then as a senior. So no matter how many times you take it, they're gonna take the best score anyway.
Yeah. So Coach Spice, and I'm calling you coach because I don't think the introduction, right? You played college ball, then you went on to the NFL, and then you actually coached in the NFL and an FBS coach too. So some accolades, man. Go ahead and toot your horn a little bit.
Man, I was just, blessed because my career to be able to play 11 years in the NFL, active player in the NFL for 11 years was truly a blessing beyond measure. But it wasn't as easy as people hear that and they just say, man, he probably got drafted. They probably got a big signing bonus. Man, my signing bonus coming out was $3,000. Okay. I was a free agent out of Saginaw Valley State University, went to Seattle. After taxes, my signing bonus was $1,300.
Man.
It wasn't a lot of money. I had enough money to pay rent for 1 month. Okay. So I didn't, and then, going through the process of trying to become a professional athlete is a testament in itself, but like I said, I went through the process of getting cut, playing in Canada, leaving Canada, making the Detroit Lions, getting cut from Detroit Lions, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, being sent to the World League, playing in the World League, coming back, have to make the Jaguars team. I played for the Jacksonville Jaguars 9 years. And then from there, getting cut again, going to New Orleans, got cut when I got to New Orleans, got brought back, won the Super Bowl. And at this time, I'm 35 years old. And I said, you know what? God knew that the only thing I really want out of the NFL, more than money, was a Super Bowl. And I was blessed with that. And it really told
awesome. Outside
of how my body felt, I knew, because when you're 35 and you're trying to get your body back to that caliber of shape, it was hard. Not saying I couldn't do it, but it was really hard. So I just said, you know what? I got the ring now. I was able to make a little money. I'm not a big spender, so I was able to save a little bit here and there, and I was able to do some things with my family in the process. So I was always grateful for that, and I retired. And then when I retired, like you called me youth coach, because I was really a coach on the field. At the end of the day, I was a coach on the field my last few years, helping those young guys get acclimated, coming into the league, the things they have to do. And I just took that same mindset when I got my opportunity. And my opportunity showed up as an internship that turned into an actual coaching contract. And it went from there. It wasn't, people feel like because I played in the NFL that getting an NFL job should be easy. They made it's not as easy for retired NFL football players to get the NFL coaching job, because there are a lot of guys out there that are coaching that look down upon you as a player, on the players, because they think that when we were a player, everything was given to us. So we're acting like, coming into coaching, they should just give us a coaching job. So they make you grind. So they really make it, and I had to grind. I got on the grind. I learned all the programs, the computer programs to draw plays up in Visio, Playmaker. Working on the Excel, putting together production sheets and all that. And not only that, but being able to coach. But I coach with common sense. I'm a guy, I'm more of a realist type coach. I don't give my players drills just to be doing drills. I ain't one of those dudes. I'm not out here, I don't coach the CYA, cover your own ass. I don't do that. You know what? I'm gonna give my players what they need to be successful on the field. We're not gonna do drills that you don't jump over agiles on the game. So why the hell I've got you jumping over agiles?
That's right.
That don't make sense, right? That don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing that, for me in my coaching career, and that right now, having this short opportunity to coach in the spring league, which, I'm thankful for that. And, those don't know what's going to turn out, if we're going to turn into another coaching job or not, because at this point, I'm at the point in my coaching career where it hasn't been a long one. It's only been 10 years, but if another good job comes along that I feel like my family and I should take it, then I'll take it. But if not, I'm gonna stay and continue to start training these offensive and defensive linemen.
Sure. Coach, let me ask the last question here, man. What's one piece of advice that you would give today's recruit, right? From your all of your experience, man. What's a couple things that you would want to tell those guys?
Well, for starters, education. You're a student athlete, and student first. That's why we call it student athlete. So it's your education. Do everything. Use all the tools. Trying to, the word is skipping me, but basically everything that's been able to give to you today it's really easy to get your, let's just say, degree, okay? Because there's the resources out there. I didn't have the internet when I was coming out, okay? You can find any answer you want on the internet now. So there's no reason why you can't study for the ACT or SAT. There's no reason why you can't do better in your English, because you know what? You might not have a library at your house, but you know what? You got an iPhone, you got a computer, you got a tablet, open it up. There's plenty of books on Google that are free, and you can study and put yourself in a position to where when the recruits walk in your school, hey, I tell guys all the time, I'm gonna see your head coach and I'm gonna go into the guidance counselor office. That's where we're going. And if that transcript ain't right, then I'm gonna go back to the head coach and say, I see you later. I'm moving on because we ain't got time.
No doubt. That's
because
good, coach.
The thing about these kids got to realize, coaches and the players, we're all tied together. And if I bring you in and you become a butthole and you become a disrespectful kid, a disrespectful young man, and you don't want to go to class and you want to sit around and smoke weed all day, well, guess how I'm going to be perceived by the head coach, because I'm the one that went in there and stood on the table and said, we need this player. I recruited this guy. So now we're all tied together. Because if you come in and you don't play well, you become a guy that you turn out not that good. That's a knock against me.
Absolutely. But you gotta bring something to the table, man. If
right.
You can't ball out on the field, them academics gotta be good, man.
And this starts with academics, man. It starts with academics, but then I would say, hey, if you're gonna make a highlight, make a highlight of you. I don't want to see the highlight of the team playing well against you. Make a highlight of you. Keep the music to normal. We don't need a bunch of cursing, over the top. We don't need all that. I don't want to hear all that. If you want to put a little beat into it, put a little beat into it. But then when I open the tape, it should be no more than 3 minutes, and it should be you. It should be a highlight reel, your highlights of your high school career. And whenever you made those highlights, let it be you. Don't let it be, and try to keep the same number. Everybody want to have a single digit on now. You got offensive linemen looking for single digits. I mean,
right.
Keep the same numbers, Yeah. So that way, when I turn the tape on and I know that's you, hey, you got the same number as a junior. You got the same number as a senior. It makes it a lot easier as well. Instead I got to go back to the recruiting office and say, man, wait a minute, that guy ain't on tape. Oh yeah, he's number 2 now. He's 315 pounds. He's number 2. That don't look right.
Absolutely.
Like a muffin out there with that single digit on. So I mean, there's just those things like that, and also, bring your family in on the recruiting. Stop feeling like yes, it's your decision as a young man, but ultimately it's your family decision. And have your family a part of your recruiting process so your family can be able to get educated in the same process you're getting educated on. Because, hey, you might have a younger sister or brother or a cousin that might be coming up in the same process, and maybe your family can impart that knowledge to your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, whoever, or your friend, a neighbor. So, you have your family a part of the process. And I know kids out there, some that do, but most don't. They think it's all about them. And you know what? I'm gonna make you think it's all about you for the most part, but realistically, it's all about you and your family as a whole, because football is the greatest sport in the world, because we play out the principles of what family is: being accountable to one another, loving one another, respecting one another, because football prepares you for life. That's the only sport to where you're not successful unless somebody else next to you is successful. So if we're not going to work together, then we're not going to be successful. Quarterback can't do it by himself. He can't snap and he can't snap the ball and throw the ball and catch the ball and score. He can't do that. We need to work together. So, you know, if you can't be a team player, you can't be coachable, then you're wasting the recruiter's time at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Man, Coach, I appreciate that information, dude.